And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Storytime with Mikey. To be clear, this is now episode 27, and this show has been off for a while. I haven't made a video in this series for 10 months at least, because the last one I did was talking about Halloween, I believe it was. And I think I uploaded this before, like a month before Halloween for some reason. But this episode, I want to talk about. I've just jostled my desk. I'm sorry. I want to talk about the time I lived in my very first apartment after I'd finished high school, and how it was a very nice place, but the neighbor, 'twas not. 'Twas not. Now, I'm sure you've seen those videos, you've seen those shows. People have these neighbors from hell, the worst neighbor ever. My neighbor was a psychotic. Those situations, you've heard those, you've seen those. Some of you may have actually been through those yourself. Let me know if you want to. Let me know, but down below. But I used to live in an apartment building. It was one of those buildings where you had to have a key to get inside the building, and if you didn't live there, but you knew someone who did, and you went to go visit them, you had to buzz their apartment up from the intercom box outside, and I would hear the buzz, and I would click my button. I would say yes, and they'd say who it is. Can I come in? Yeah, I'll walk down there, let you in. Bing, bing, bang, bosh. It was a very nice apartment. I paid like $4.95 a month in rent, plus cable and electric and water. Quite an expensive place, but a very nice place to live. And I had a roommate, my best friend Alex. I had signed a 1-year lease, and he was my roommate on that lease. And it was, for the most part, for the first 6 months, it was smooth sailing. Now, Alex had to move out 6 months in, but he ended up getting his own apartment in the building. So we stayed very close together. Same building, just different apartments. I was downstairs, he was upstairs. And for some reason, after he'd moved out, the neighbor who I had never talked to never gave any inclination that I wanted to know personally. Because I'm a very private person when it's in my personal life. I don't talk to people unless I know them for years upon years, or begrudgingly my family. But the neighbors I don't really talk to all that much, aside from the occasional hello when I see them outside when I'm on the rare occasion outside. So I didn't know who this guy was. I had never spoken one word to this guy, but he lived in the apartment next door to me. And he, for some reason, I have to make this assumption that he didn't like my dog, because this is all about my dog. You all have seen my dog Jonathan. He's been in quite a few videos over the years. And he's a lap dog. He's a Chihuahua and miniature Schnauzer mix, so he's a bit of a yappy dog. When he barks, it's very loud. And my dog barks at pretty much anything. The slightest noise, he barks. The shadow on the wall, he barks. So if he farts and wakes up, he barks. So I can see why it would be annoying, but you can be annoyed, but to a degree. You cannot act the way this guy did towards me or my dog. Now, like I said, we had a key to get inside the building, but the doorknobs from the apartments had no locks for a key. It was push button. You had to put in a code to lock and unlock your door. I'm sorry. And I was never out of the building very long, no more than to go up the street to the Family Dollar or go on this side of the street to the gas station. It was a Go Mart. And I would always leave my door unlocked, it would be closed so he can't get out. And, I was never gone more than 5 minutes at a time. And I never took the time to lock my door, to shut it. And one day I went upstairs to visit my friend, and we were talking, hanging out, just bullshitting around like good friends do. And I didn't have any idea that my neighbor had a problem with my dog and his barking. So, no warning of what was going to happen. I had to walk downstairs to my apartment because Alex wanted to know if he could borrow something of mine. And I told him, sure, be right back. Go downstairs and grab it, take it back up to him. I went downstairs to the other hallway where my apartment's at, and my dog, wandering the hallway, and I knew my door had been shut, but not locked. But it had been shut completely. But there I am, walking down the hallway. I'm past the mailboxes on the inside of the hall, and there is my dog wandering the hallways, lost as all could be, doesn't know where he's going or what he's supposed to do. But presumably he's looking for me. And my first reaction is, well, how the hell did you get out of the apartment? And I'm like, no one knows that my door is ever unlocked. Except for one person. The guy next door. Because he'd seen me leave a couple of times and he'd noticed I didn't lock my door. I just shut it. Because I always made it a point to know that I would only ever be gone for no more than 5 to 10 minutes at a time, so I never needed a reason to lock my door. So trying to keep level-headed about the situation, because I knew what had happened. The one person who knew my door was always unlocked had let my dog out. Because whenever I leave the apartment, he barks. He likes to bark for a couple of minutes after I leave because he has separation anxiety. And quite often, I can't take him out whenever I go outside because I can't take him to stores. I live in a very bad city, so if I leave him tied to a pole outside, he's likely either going to get killed or he's going to get stolen. And I wrote a note to the guy saying, hey, I know you did this. Please don't do this again. If you have a problem with my dog, talk to me personally. And I taped it to his front door. I folded it up and I taped it to his front door. I was trying to be cordial, very nice. If he had a problem with my dog, talk to me. It's not that hard. And so I then go back upstairs after putting my dog back in, and I made sure my door was locked. I had a lock at this time. I took what I wanted to give my friend to borrow. And after I left his apartment to come back to mine for the rest of the day, this guy confronts me belligerently, getting all up in my face, saying, I'm not afraid to fight you. I'm not afraid to kick your fucking ass. And I'm like, listen, back the fuck off. I know you hate my dog. Leave him alone. Leave me alone. I can't control his barking. But you do not have to let him out in the hallway. Because if he'd been out in the hallway and someone had opened that front door, he would have gotten out into the middle of the street and he would have been hit by a fucking car. And I told him, never touch my fucking door again. Because I'm not going to be respectful to you when you're disrespectful to me. If you come to me face to face screaming at me and cursing at me, you have lost any chance of me ever being respectful to you. From that point on, all I ever see when I see you is an asshole. So I will automatically hate you. And it just gets more downhill from there. Over the next week, my neighbor is banging on his wall, even when my dog is being quiet. He's banging on his wall on my side of the apartment. At night, when I'm trying to sit down and watch TV or trying to cook dinner. This is like 7 to 8 o'clock in the evening. Just like the palm of his hands is going. So I'm to the point where this guy's just a fucking man-child. He has lived a life where he's never been told no. He's never been told that he couldn't do something, or that he believes that he deserves the best life ever. When no one ever has the best life ever, because it's impossible. And I assume he got very mad at me for mentioning what he had done to the landlord, because the very next day after I told the landlord, and I knew that the landlord had talked to him because I could hear out in the hallway, because it was quite loud. The landlord did not like that he had opened another tenant's door, allowing their dog to get out. So I wake up, I go to check my mailbox. I notice that my peephole, because I'll normally look through my peephole before I walk out the door to see if there's anybody out in the hallway. Just curious. I can't see out of my peephole. This guy had taken a Sharpie marker and colored in my peephole. And then I opened the door, and there is a blue and black Sharpie marker streaks squiggly lined all across my fucking white door. He had defaced my fucking front door with a Sharpie marker. I mean, who does this? This guy was 50 years old at the most. What 50-year-old takes Sharpie marker and goes, sorry, because you're mad at me and my dog. More specifically, you're mad at my dog. You're just mad at me because for once in your life, someone told you to sit the fuck down. And I should also point out that this guy was a hillbilly, so you can just take that as you will. And everyone knows my history with those. I'm at my wit's end at this point because from the noise and from him banging on the walls, from what he had done to start all this nonsense, and now he's taken to make my door his own personal paint by fucking numbers. So I told the landlord, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I have to get out of here. I have to move. I have to break the lease. I told him, I'm sorry. You have a wonderful place here, but I just cannot continue to live where I do with him. And I know he's been here longer than I have. He's been here for a couple of years at least. So I'm just going to let him stay, and I'm going to go. And he allowed me to break my lease 7 months into it. I had to give up an apartment that I actually liked because it was beautiful. It was a fantastic apartment. I had to move away, farther away from my best friend because he's keeping his apartment. He's got a 1-year lease. And he's still got 11 months to go on that lease, and he's not going to break it. Not that I would want him to. No, I had to pack up all my stuff, leave him to go someplace else in town, just because Mr. Hillbilly Man, who has never been told no, couldn't help the fact that someone had finally stood up to him and told him to sit the fuck down and told him to shut up, that he cannot do what he was doing. So that's my story about the time I had my own neighbor from hell and the history of my first apartment after graduating high school, because I used to live with my grandmother, you all know, and I lived with her up until I graduated. And that was in 2015. And I graduated in May. I got the apartment in December of 2015, the day before my birthday. I moved in the day before my birthday. Day before my 20th birthday, because I was held back in school. I was held back in elementary school. It's no shock there because the education system in this state sucks. But I am more educated than most. I have to brag about that. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you're all happy that I've brought back Storytime with Mikey. So you all can hear more stories about the things that happened in my life, whether they're good, they're bad, the funny, and the tragedy of my life. This has been episode 27, and I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.